Good afternoon. This is the House Appropriations Committee. It's Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. It's just a little bit after 1 o'clock, and we are continuing our trip through the FY27 budget, and we're delighted to have the VOSHA Review Board here with us a little bit this afternoon. And yes, as you mentioned to me, it's been a couple of years, so we'll go around, and those that are here will introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Iacoboni from Morrisville. I represent Lamoille, Washington.
Good afternoon and welcome. John Kosenska from Burke. I represent the Essex Caledonia District, 10 towns.
Mike Nigro, Bennington, Vermont. So good to see you guys.
Still there.
Still.
And your contact,
Yes.
right? Yes. Okay.
Tom Stevens from Waterbury, representing Washington Chittenden District.
Marty Feltus from Caledonia Grace. Robin Scheid from Middlebury. Tiff Brumley from Carrollton.
Lynn Dickinson, I represent St. Albans Town.
So anyway, welcome. You can introduce yourselves and then we'll go through your budget.
I'm Gary McWeston. I'm the chairman of the board.
And I'm Carolyn Dutch. I'm the paralegal for the board.
Great.
And behind you, Brenda Berry,
Oh,
who
yes.
knows all about the money stuff that I don't.
Hi, Brenda.
Hello.
Great. Thank you. So we have your presentation and you can talk to us about what you've been up to and what you've achieved and all those things.
I'll give it to you in a nutshell, I think, that we are a quasi judicial board established by statute in accordance with federal law that allocated to Vermont the responsibility of handling OSHA and hearings regarding OSHA violations. They assigned that to us. And they do provide some money. It comes through the Department of Labor. We get some amount of money from them, 20, what you get?
Around a little over 50,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little over 50 comes out of the Department of Labor. So we're here to fight with you for the balance, I guess. We're, our job is to supervise any violation that's been found by OSHA within the Department of Labor that is contested. Now, what happens is they make inspections, they find violations, they try to work them out. And if they can't, if it's opposed by the employer, it comes to us. At that point, it's a case. And we treat each one of those violations as a separate case because each one has different issues. And Caroline is our half-time clerk, paralegal, and she handles most everything. And we have 3 hearing officers who are attorneys that work with us. We assign them kind of in a rotation. And between them and Caroline, they coordinate in order to get pre-hearing conferences and everything else done and finally have a contested hearing, a trial. And the hearing officer makes a detailed report, findings, conclusions of law, and a determination of whether or not they're going to accept all the violations, some or none. Then it comes to us as the board. The board then has the right to review it. We're reviewing one tomorrow. It just got decided. And we're going to review it and decide if there's something we think is not quite right or something that needs further explanation, whatever. And we can handle it as an appeal ourselves, as would a court handling an appeal. If we choose not to, either side below has the right to petition us to do it. And they might raise an issue we haven't contemplated. We then have the right to either accept or deny their appeal, in which case they have the right to appeal it to Superior Court and ultimately to the Supreme Court. So we're quasi-judicial at our level. They do have a right to a judicial appeal for all of their due process. And that's what we do. We handle their due process rights.
So how many cases come to you after the hearing officers hear things? Because they come to you only if they don't agree with the hearing. Is that right?
Well, we review all of them,
Okay.
make sure they're consistent with precedent and all.
Yeah.
And usually they are. But if they choose, they can appeal to us to have us look at it. So, and we don't even by statute have to do that, but we can then, we did one was that 7 or 8 different violations were found and we issued an 18-page decision on one. So you never know. The kicker for us is we never know how many cases we're going to have. We don't know how much money is going to be involved in paying for our attorneys and court stenographers. It's a big unknown. And there is a carry forward that we need desperately as our fallback position, because if we get swamped, which could happen, we could run out of money fast. And that carry forward is vital to us. So that's the main concern we have, I think.
And do you have a carry forward?
We have
Around 27,000.
it's 27,000.
Okay. But you have to pay for if it goes to court beyond you, you have to pay for.
No, we're out of it then. And the
Okay.
state system takes over.
How often or how many times do you recall this getting to Superior Court and or the Supreme Court when you've had your?
Well, since I've been on, which is like 3 years or something, it's been one, I think, that went up. But you've been here for a long time.
Yeah, either once or I'm even thinking there might have been a more recent one that went to Superior Court, but.
Very few, it sounds like it.
Not that many.
And these are Vermont businesses people doing business in Vermont. So,
We don't have that many cases that come before the voter review board where we are writing a decision on that. So it can be very variable, even the hearing officers in terms of them actually hearing a case. It's anywhere between 1 and 3 cases, just 5, 6 years. However, they also write decisions on motions to dismiss and other types of motions. So we just had a decision that was like, 20 some odd pages that never went to hearing. It was just on a motion.
and do you do work on farms too? Does VOSHA go out to the farms?
They do go at farms. Yeah, if I remember correctly. You probably shouldn't quote me on that. Not VOSHA. But,
They have done.
I'm just thinking of a bottling group, but that's not really farms, not really
Yeah.
ag per se.
So the number of cases you have can vary wildly from year to year, depending upon what the inspectors find out. And then the 3 hearing officers you said are all attorneys, are they on retainer or how does that work with?
On a retainer with them, they signed a contract with us, so
Okay.
they're available at a defined price and
Okay,
make themselves available for cases.
okay. So you're only paying for what you use in this case.
Right. And one decision could be quite costly. Yeah. So we were asking about case numbers. So the case summary, I don't know what page number it is in the book, but we ranged from 16 to 36 cases last year. Fiscal year 25 was 28, not cases, but citations.
Yes.
And then 16 cases that we're working on.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, so this is page 7 of 24.
Page 7, yeah.
Yeah. And do you see any trends or are there certain kinds of things that tend to come up again and again to your?
Types of violations or.
Yeah, there's certain violations that are like more common than others or?
The trend I've noticed, and I think it's becoming more of a trend, is larger corporations want to fight and appeal everything, and they can do it because they have in-house counsel. So they don't have to go out.
Right.
If they find local counsel, it's just somebody to file a motion to allow their counsel who's out of state to practice
Yeah.
here for that one case. So that's the trend I'm seeing. I expect in another 5 years, you're gonna be looking at a problem, but not now. We're there,
Yeah.
but I do see that as a trend.
So almost no matter what the violation is, they just want to fight it.
That's my impression. I've only been around 3 years, but Have
It's
you
worth noting and keeping an eye on, I think.
It wasn't the case before Gary came, but he came in and he's like, well, I think we're gonna see more cases on this, and like, was like, what did you just say that? It just.
Bingo.
They don't say that. Something else is. Okay, great. So budget, it's in here somewhere. You don't have the biggest budget in the book.
State's share would be the 91 figure, I guess,
Yeah.
and the balance comes from the Department of Labor.
Okay, that's right. From DOL. They probably get bids. Right. I see there's money in there for advertising this year, or an increase in money for advertising.
We are reviewing our rules of procedure, so we have to pay a fee.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I'm seeing that on the bottom of Digger. They're having rulemaking is coming out, so they're for tracking, not all of them, but some of them. I just noticed, yeah. Okay, so kind of a business as usual. Anything else you want us to know about this one?
Pay the board members more, especially the chairperson. When I go in for half a day, I don't get my per diem of $50. I get half a day of $45, or it works out to $8.68 an hour. I
An
think.
hour.
So just so you
They
know
pay your
that.
mileage?
They pay mileage, yes, they
Yeah,
do.
done that.
That's where you make your money.
You should live farther away.
Trying to help. I joke that we make 11 cents an hour. Mike,
Sorry I came late from another meeting, and I don't know if this was covered already, but do I remember we were hearing something about big budgets, that there was federal money for VOSHA?
We aren't aware from our end. Nobody has.
DOL gives them about $50,000. That's the closest to somebody else giving.
I mean, he's not talking about my complaint, is he?
No.
I won't bother you with it then. We're aware of that.
There were some questions about whether the budget was going to be cut for VOSHA, but I don't think it was, and the federal funds for us wasn't affected.
All right, not seeing any other questions. Mike's your contact, and glad to have you come visit us. Now you know where we are. Hopefully we'll still do it next time.
Don't move. all
Right
right?
up. Moved around quite a bit, so I'm an ending place now. So thanks very much for all you do.
Thank you all.
Take care. So we're early, but perhaps everybody's here from the state colleges. Fabulous. Why don't you all, and bring up chairs if you need to have more of you. It's just fine to do that. I will start. We need help. Just call for it.
Yes. We've met.
Okay. Hello. Welcome.
Oh, hello.
Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you.
Thank you. So I think we can start anytime.
Well,
Introduce yourself and
good afternoon. I am Beth Mauk. I am the Chancellor of the Vermont State Colleges System. Very happy to be back here with you again. Thank the chair for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to talk about our FY27 budget. Before I start, though, I'd like to talk about the fact that, we were established by the legislature in the early 1960s for the benefit of Vermont. And that is something that is very meaningful to me. At everything I do, I'm always thinking about how are we ensuring that we are for the benefit of Vermont. And really what that means is that we serve Vermont, and that we believe that every Vermonter should have access to high quality higher education, regardless of their income or their location, and that we have to be that trusted partner for them throughout their lifetime, as their need for higher education ebbs and flows. I have some very good news about the system. We are 83% Vermonters. We're both the Community College of Vermont and Vermont State University. So 83% of our students are Vermonters. This year, we did have a modest enrollment increase. of 1.4%. And our online enrollment increased by about 10%. In addition, the enrollment at several of our campuses increased, and we showed market increases in some of the very jobs that Vermonters really need. So in elementary education, healthcare, mechanical engineering, just to name a few. Now, I also like to talk a little bit about the demographics of our students and Vermonters. So what we know is that the average Vermonter is getting older, and that is the same thing that we are seeing in our student population. So we know that our students are older. On average, our students are about the age of 27, both at the Community College of Vermont and Vermont State University. And what that means is that their needs are different than what we would be traditionally thinking. So they're looking for more flexibility. They're looking for college to work around their life, not so much for life to work around their life to work around college. Someone said to me that you go to college and then you have your life. That's not the way students are approaching higher education. And it's certainly something that we know. We know that less than half of students go on to higher education in Vermont right out of high school. And we are seeing this, that they get out a couple of years and then they do have this need to go back for higher education, some form or another. And then also that they are continuing. So they may come into our system either through CCV or VTSU and then go back out to get a job in industry or something, and then come back in when they need more employment and so more education. And so that is one of the newer models, and it really is our largest growing demographic of students. Now, in addition to our students, we obviously have a commitment to the communities in which we are living. So we have been really working to ensure that the campuses that we have for Vermont State University remain vibrant around the state. And it has been one of the key initiatives that I have worked on. And what we know is, again, since our students are older and have different needs, that means that we have to really look at how do these institutions, which are sitting in Vermont communities, serve the needs of the community. So we've been working with regional partners to see how we might be able to affect this. The campus where we've done really some of the most work and where you've probably heard about things is on the Johnson campus. So I think many of you know that for both in 2023 and 2024, the town of Johnson was flooded. It was devastating floods. And we've been working and having really thousands of conversations with the folks in the Johnson area to see what are their needs. Some of the things that are now coming to fruition out of that, Downstreet did receive some community development block granting funds in addition to some funds from Senator Sanders to put a senior housing complex up on the Johnson campus in the McClellan building. And then in addition to that, the Johnson Health Center is looking to relocate onto our campus. What these two examples show is that this will give our students not only more vibrancy on the campus, but it will also give them opportunities for potentially internships or other experiential learning opportunities. And it also just might give them closer access to a health center. So we're excited about that. In Linden, we recently announced to our campuses that we are working with a regional education partner to relocate at the Harvey building in Linden. And this is very important as well to ensure that we have the vibrancy on our campus. At the same time, we are looking for really mission-aligned partners. The other thing we've been working on is an apartment complex. We think that could be located in Johnson. A lot of times the traditional residential style housing that we have is not of something that our current students who are older are interested in. And so they have been looking for some of these other options. It's a very important option in Johnson because we already have the Johnson apartments, which have been there for decades, and we know that there's a demand for those. So we know that there will be a demand for that as well.
So if I could pause you for a second, with the McClellan building and the sort of upper village, I learned last night, the lower village and upper village, so moving to Johnson, would you be leasing the buildings or would you be selling the buildings, or is that TBD at this point?
Yeah, it will depend upon what makes sense. So in the case of the McClellan building, we are looking to sell it to Downstreet or whichever part.
Yeah.
But sometimes leasing the buildings, just making sure that we're meeting the needs of the community and our students at the same time.
So Linda, is there something you want to say?
No, I think that Beth is doing just fine. I mean, one of the problems with the change in demographics and fewer students that are at the traditional age is that we have buildings that don't serve the same purpose they did 30, 40 years ago. And so we have to really, over capacity, we have to find a new way.
Yes.
And with the flooding in these two communities as an example, it provides a mitigation issue. It's a win-win for a whole bunch
Yeah.
of folks.
It seems like it. Seems like it. It solves a bunch of people's problems, so that's great.
We're trying to be good community stewards. And secondly, we do have a commitment to the businesses in the region. So a couple of programs that I wanted to highlight for the committee. We have something called the Career Pathway Entry Program, which is CPEP. It is a program that allows folks who maybe have a high school diploma, who haven't really entered some of the workforce where they do need some sort of post-secondary education. It allows them to have opportunities to a variety of internship opportunities and shorter internship opportunities, while they're also taking classes at Community College of Vermont, and allowing them to have those opportunities so that they can move from move to an employer where they will have more opportunities. In addition, our plumbing and electrical apprenticeship programs have really just jumped in enrollment. We had jumped 3% in headcount over the last year. This is something that we know is a great need for the state, and it is something that we are looking to try to replicate across the state. And the two other examples I have are certainly interesting. I did also want to just let you know that we received late last week, more congressionally directed spending from Senator Welch to look at some of the trades programs, in particular composites programs. That is something that we're looking to collaborate with Beta at least on, and other industries around the state, to see if we can't help them to meet the workforce needs that they have. So we're very excited about that program. It just landed last week.
Great.
The next thing I'd like to do is talk about our budget for FY27. On the next slide, I want to just talk about general fund and one-time requests. So our general fund request was the 3% request that the governor had recommended, and he recommended that for us. In addition, we did ask for one-time funding for a rural micro-credential and certificate expansion. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a slide or two. I do want to note that we are not asking for bridge funding anymore. So the legislature has, yes, this was our last year. The legislature has been very generous in ensuring that the Vermont State College System and Vermont State University in particular has this ability to thrive. And so we are really excited that we are not asking for any more bridge funding this year. And we will, we are still looking for some innovation kinds of funds for that. So that is our request. So the governor did not recommend the rural micro credential and certificate expansion. I can talk about that in a minute about what that is.
Yeah.
Next is the Allied Health and Global Commitment Fund. And, for the first couple of years I was here, we kind of just went over this particular fund very quickly. So there's a general fund and a global commitment fund. These funds we have been using to support faculty positions and clinical instruction and other student training across nursing, radiologic sciences, respiratory therapy, and other allied health disciplines. We have been receiving $1.5 million each year. This year, we put in a request for $4.2 million. The reason for the increase in the funding is we do know that there's an acute challenge with our nursing programs and hiring tenured and tenure track nursing faculty members. And one of the things we know is that a nurse can make more money if she works in a hospital than if she or he works for us. And so we're looking to see if we can't make those salaries more comparable, hence the increased request. Just so you know, this is grant funding, and so it is not part of the general fund that we are requesting for that. But I wanted to make you aware of that fund and just sort of point it out a little bit more this year. And then finally, last year, on the next slide, we did a capital budget request. The request that we received $8 million over the 2 years. This year, we have an additional request of another $1 million for some capital planning and pre-development costs for the apartment complex that I was talking about. So we're looking to get a capital stack to be able to fund that. We need to do some site work and some other preparations, and that would be what that $1 million request is for. So that is our budget request. To go back to the micro-credential piece, maybe saying, what is this even? So the micro-credential really does allow us to fill some needs in the state that we know are a need, but that sometimes an entire degree program doing all at once is difficult. The example that I'd like to talk about today is in teacher preparation. And this is a program that we have been working with the Agency of Education and the Department of Labor on to both fill that critical paraeducator shortage as well as to fill the critical teacher shortage. What we do know from Vermont's Most Promising Jobs, which is a publication put out by both the McClure Foundation and the Department of Labor, that we will need in excess of 7,000 teaching jobs over the next 10 years. And so we've got to do things differently than we've done, where it used to be that someone would go to college, do 4 years, and then become a teacher. What we know is we already have a number of paraeducators in the system who would like to be teachers, or we also have folks who are interested in being paraeducators. So we're creating a stackable program where a student could start and get a 30-credit paraeducator certificate that we've created in collaboration with Agency of Education. It will be delivered through the Community College of Vermont. After that, a person can become a highly qualified paraeducator and then get into the liberal studies and education program at the Community College of Vermont to get the next 60 credits to get an associate's degree, all the while continuing to work at their school because they'll be able to do any practical experiences actually in the school that they are working in. And then finally transfer to Vermont State University and have the opportunity to do the last 2 years of their education program there. That program we are looking at doing completely online and asynchronously so that folks who are working in schools, again, can have their job, but still can take the classwork that they need. And that's just one of the more recent examples that we have of these micro-credentials. Some of the, I see you, okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I don't. Yeah, it says one-time investment. How would this be sustainable?
So our idea is that we're really looking to see how it is we can develop some of these programs. So we did receive funding from the Department of Labor to actually create the courses for the paraeducator and the teacher ed certificate. And so the reason these are one-time funds is they are funds for us to develop some of the coursework in the curriculum one time. We do believe that these will be self-sustaining after that through the folks who would be in the programs with enrollment.
So it's for course development.
Course development, yeah, maybe working on apprenticeship training, those kinds of things that, are sort of one-time funds we'll need to get started. And then we can look at we won't have the development for the courses, but we can look at putting some of the other costs into into that regular program. Next, I'd like to talk about Freedom and Unity, which is a program that VSAC has sponsored over the last couple of years. This is an outgrowth of 802 Opportunity, which is a grant that allows any student in the state of Vermont whose family is making $100,000 or less to go to CCV completely for tuition free. We had a partner program called Freedom and Unity last year, which we're very thankful to the legislature for funding us at $1.5 million, again, in one-time funds. I know VSAC is requesting this year a $2.3 million base appropriation for this that they haven't received yet, but I would like to say that we are very supportive of this. What we are seeing even in this last year, and one of the pieces that this committee knows we are looking at is how to really have a distance education program that will meet the needs of Vermonters. We are seeing significant upticks in those online students who have an opportunity to participate in the Freedom and Unity program. Even now, we had tremendous increases in January when we did a January enrollment, and we'll do another one in March. And we see Vermonters taking us up on this program. So we know that this is helping, and we know that it's helping folks who are interested in going into, as an example, our teacher programs or our nursing programs. So we're very excited about that.
I'm just confused about your comment here that it's offered to families with an AGI of 65,000.
I'm sorry, yes, for the 802 opportunity, they've gotten that up to $100,000. At this point, for Freedom and Unity, the 1.5 million that we got last year will only cover families that are $65,000 or less for BTSU. Obviously, it would be our goal to ensure that every family at one level can get it, but we're trying to step ourselves up into this program.
Yeah, this was a new program last year.
Right.
For the Vermont State University, the more legacy traditional colleges. CCV has had this for a while, and it has been extremely successful in recruiting, retaining, graduating people that started at a lower level, 75 or 65.
I think it actually started at 50 even.
Well, it started lower, and over the years it's gone up, and now it's $100,000, under $100,000. And, you know, enrollment, retention, graduation is the ultimate goal here. We want people to finish. And people look at it, Beth may be able to describe this. They want to know, does this apply to me? And will it be there next year? And this is the last dollar, and it provides, you stack your financial aid, and this actually provides the very end as a free tuition at that point. Not sure if I got it exactly right, but that's and so what we have now is Freedom and Unity starting at 65,000. And you could theoretically start at CCB and have a $85,000 family income and get it for free for this under this 100,000. But if you want to transfer into VTSU, one of the 4-year bachelor programs, you're going to be over the 65,000, and that then creates maybe a potential barrier. So the goal is to make them be the same at some point, but we're not going to expect that right away.
Okay, I would just try to keep the two straight.
Yeah.
Okay. And next, I'd like to talk just a little bit about the Flexible Pathways program that the college system participates in. These programs are for high school students, and they were designed to level the playing field for Vermont's flexible pathways. The programs that are particularly important to Vermont State College's system is the dual enrollment program, and you can see the course placements there, as well as the early college program. I do know that there is some ongoing conversations in particular about early college. It certainly is a conversation that I welcome in my career. I have participated in a number of these programs as the higher ed participant. And I think the questions that are being brought up about, you know, how does this program interact with high schools? What are maybe some of the unintended consequences is a conversation that we certainly are willing to engage in and would welcome. So, but it has been a program which you can see, we've seen increases in the number of students participating in this year over year. And we know that these students are more likely to go to college once they've completed dual enrollment in early college than our other grades.
Well, and I know part of these conversations, I used to have this as my budget when I first got to approach too. And the question is, are the kids we really want to target making use of this access, or are they the people whose parents are really on it and read everything and figure out ways for the kids to do it, which isn't, you know, getting that access to the people who we really hope can get there is an important thing. So that's not measured in your numbers. It's nice to see the numbers increasing, but you know, how much do we know about the students, and are we doing what we were originally hoped to do when these were set up?
We do know that the number of students who we would define as Pell eligible, or students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch in K-12, we have seen a market increase in those numbers over the last couple of years. I think even from last year to this year, there was a 7% increase. So we know that more students who might not otherwise be able to go to college are participating in these programs. And because students are not eligible for federal financial aid as a high school student, this would be their only vehicle to pay for that. So we have seen increases in those.
Questions? Anybody have? Good. Okay.
Just my last slide, and I just wanted to share this with you. This was a young woman who graduated from Johnson in May. I saw her, I went to all the graduations. I saw her walking across the stage. I mean, she just smiled the whole time she was going through there. And she had her baby with her across the stage. And, this was just the one that sort of struck me most, but at every graduation I was at, someone brought a child with them. They walked them across the stage or they strolled them across the stage. And to me, this is just why I do this job. We transform lives. And I think that when someone is bringing their child across the graduation stage with them, it really is that they feel so proud of what they've accomplished and what they can show their child. So I just wanted to share this with you to say, when I am thinking about why it is I'm doing this job, it is for people like this who, again, might not otherwise be able to go to college, probably need to do asynchronous online courses, probably, need to ensure that the college is surrounding their life and maybe go for a couple of classes this semester and more next. And, these really are our biggest increase in the number of students that we'll be able to serve. And so I'm so proud of that. So thank you all for that. And I'm happy to.
Should be.
I know. Someone said to me, is that fake? I said, no. And you should have seen her coming across the whole stage. Like, it's even better. Like, I saw her coming across the stage. And I was like, and she was just beaming from there.
Oh, that's exciting.
So I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So we have your budget request on the very last page.
Yes, that's the whole thing all together.
That's just all of it together. Yeah. So 3 specific requests.
Yes.
$1 million in this budget.
Oh, that's on the last page at the bottom, or I'm sorry, at the bottom of it. I don't know if it's. I don't have the last sheet.
It's a 2,394, the 1,000,005, and $1 million. The 3 numbers.
Yes, there's $1 million for the capital budget request.
Right. Okay. Sounds like a Corrections and Institutions Committee request. Are you going to see that?
We are, yes, at 3:15.
Okay.
Yes,
Seems to me that would be there.
yes. I just wanted to make you aware that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's have the whole picture. That's great. Questions for? Sounds like you're doing great work and accomplishing the goals that you are setting out to accomplish and serving Vermonters. So
And I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of those who came before.
Yeah.
It's been a really wonderful journey.
it has been quite a journey.
Yes.
It has been quite a journey. I can verify that. Yeah, I just want to say that, we have made great progress. I mean, for some of you who were here, 5 or so years ago, it's been,
It was pretty
a
dire.
journey. It's been a real journey. But we have come through it between Sophie and Beth and Sharon Scott and all of the other people who have contributed to this, presidents and Joyce Judy and
Well, and our faculty and staff, I mean,
faculty, everybody.
they really have stepped up. And, when we ask them, they always are right there with us, working hand in hand.
Yeah, and but we still have some hills to climb. We are not out of the woods. We've had so many things going on at once that sometimes some things have fallen through the cracks and we're still trying to pick them up and keep them going. But, we really have to thank the legislature and the governor for, standing by us and helping us with this.
Well, it's also exciting to see that you're doing some stuff with your physical plant because that's been the big,
Yes.
elephant in the middle of the room kind of thing. So
I see this all as a big ecosystem. It's, ensuring, right, that physical footprint, really is serving the needs of Vermont. It's making sure that we are serving students who now are older than what we're thinking. And it really is thinking about our program array and what kinds of programs are we offering so that we're ensuring that we're meeting those needs of Vermont. And if you think of all those 3 things together and move them together, you get it right. Lynn is right. Every now and then something falls through the cracks, but we're here to continue just to work and figure out how we can do this for Vermont.
Yes, and it's been a transformation.
yes.
Sophie hired a project manager and we included everybody with the project manager and all the different aspects of the colleges and all the different student life and academics and all the financial stuff. And we have gone from 4 presidents for the legacy schools to one provost, 1 admissions, we have made it a system-wide budget. So it's really a much more efficient system. And it's, we're trying to make it as effective as possible. We've made great strides, like I say, doing that, but we're still working on it. So continuous improvement.
That's what it is.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you so
Great
much.
to see
Thanks for
you.
having me.
Here's some good news and Keep up the great work. That's terrific. Thank you. So committee,